The island of Savaii in western Samoa is about as far from Britain as you can get. It's just one of the tiny Polynesian islands off the east coast of Australia. And in my search to find traditional survival skills around the world, I'm headed for the coastal village of Falealupo. The islands have been inhabited for about 1,000 years. Settlers arrived here by boat, paddling huge distances across the Pacific to find new lands and a new life. It may look like paradise, but you can't live off the view. The Polynesians certainly didn't travel thousands of miles to set up shop here because of the scenery. It's a long swim between the islands, so to live here, you've got to be self-sufficient. And that means learning how to find food and build shelters in a land that's harsher than it looks. The seas are powerful with treacherous currents. Cyclones regularly sweep through these islands. The latest one flattened this concrete church in minutes. Which is partly why villages like Falealupo have hung on to their traditional skills, because they're effective. It's also because here, Samoan culture is still strong. The village is governed by a council of chiefs who ensure that their heritage, skills, and close sense of community remain intact. They manage to use chainsaws and electric ovens alongside their old ways. This is the carver ceremony, held in a traditional house or fale, which welcomes each guest to the village. Ia Manuia. Fales were designed to stand up to cyclones, torrential rain and sun. They are the most common sort of house in the village, built straight from the forest. We're going to need several different kinds of wood. This is the papaka, which is used for the major supports. For the rafters, we're going to need this, pau. And this is aso, for the ribs to hold the thatch. And the climate. When the recent cyclone struck, traditional fale stood up better than most modern houses. The open sides allow the air pressure inside to equalise when a shock wave hits, whereas most closed structures just explode. The cyclones of 1990 and 91 were the worst in recorded history. They devastated the normal water supplies, flattened thousands of trees and scores of houses. But it did remind the Samoans just why their old skills are still important.
Everyone was busy trying to put up structure and trying to find food, trying to look for water, which is their own traditional knowledge and our own culture. And I think for me, it was one of the beautiful, although heartbreaking feeling for me that, thank God, that our people still had that traditional knowledge from the forest, that they were able to help themselves.
Water is one thing you'd think there'd be no shortage of, but you can't drink seawater. And on this side of the island, there are very few streams. Inland, you could hope for rain, But out here in the dry, you've got two options. You can either dig for it or climb. There are no fancy climbing gadgets, just a foot strap. It needs to be strong, and hibiscus bark can support the full body weight 20 meters up. They're after coconuts, and villagers will climb these trees every day. Even without cyclones, water has to be tankered into the village, and that's an erratic supply at the best of times. A green husk shows it's immature. Inside there'll be little fruit, but plenty of watery milk. A mature nut is brown and invaluable for food and drink. The coconut is a perfect survival kit. In fact, Samoan legend christened it the Tree of Life. It's supposed to have sprouted from the head of an eel, and you can still see the face of that eel on the coconut today. These are the eyes, and there's the mouth, and it's there that you drink from. The face also shows you how to open the coconut. You take the seam that runs between the two eyes and you strike it with a knife at 90 degrees. It breaks cleanly in half. The last cyclone whipped up such huge waves that some coral reefs were totally flattened. Luckily, others did survive and play a vital part in this underwater world. It's only comparatively recently that the world has woken up to just how fragile coral ecosystems are. Some of the traditional Samoan practices are being abandoned and discouraged to give the reefs a chance to regenerate. However, as the women will tell you, good environmental practice doesn't always make for good fishing.
They have to sustain themselves with what is around their environment, and there are clams in that depth. So it's either you have the breath to get down or you don't eat.
And they can go deeper in just a pair of handmade goggles. The record that afternoon was 22 meters. And whatever the depth, they seem in no hurry, swimming about till they find something, a clam or a fish. I couldn't stay down there, but luckily they can. This rock is going to be decorated to make a lure for an octopus. There's a legend hereabouts about an octopus that once gave a rat a lift across water. Well, that rat left a bit of a calling card on the octopus's head, and since then, octopuses have hated all rats. When an octopus sees this, he gets really angry, grabs it, and won't let go. It may not look like much, just a rock, a few leaves and some string, coupled with some patience, but that's all you need to get one of these. This trap works on a much simpler principle. Eels love dark spaces, and when there's food inside, the combination is irresistible. It's easy for an eel to slip in through this cloth tunnel, but it can't get back out. Setting traps near the reef is dangerous. There's every chance of being swept away by tremendous currents that rip through the reef. Once they've got the box to stay down, it's disguised with rocks, rather like the women's coral basket, and left for the eel to find. It's simple, but it works. To get to big fish out in the open sea, you've got to get past the coral reef that sits like a maze beneath the waves. At high tide, you float above it, but at low tide, the sharp coral lurks just below the water and can wreck the strongest boat. But the Samoans are expert sailors. They know exactly how to weave through the gaps in the reef, working with the tides and the currents, so they catch big fish. Every Sunday in Savaii is Umu Day, when family groups gather together to make an elaborate ceremonial feast. The cooking is done by the men in a separate fale, using the traditional open oven or umu. It starts with a normal fire, but local volcanic rock is piled on top. These rocks absorb and hold so much heat that they'll roast the food long after the fire has died down. One hot rock from the fire is enough to soften the grated coconut, which is squeezed between banana leaf fibres. The result, coconut cream. Warm taro and breadfruit leaves are flexible enough to make a parcel for the cream. Wrapped up and roasted on the fire, it makes a Samoan delicacy called palusami. Once the fire's up to speed, it's levelled out ready for the parcels of fish and coconut. Then the whole oven is sealed over, first with banana leaves which give extra flavour, and then with mats to hold in the heat. The fish should be ready in under an hour.
I'm sure like you had died for your McDonald's. It's the same for us in Samoa. There are certain things that we crave for, and the taste of the umu it doesn't match anything that comes out of the electric oven. So that's why our umu is so important, and the umu is also communal. See, we do the umu when we have more families coming together, like the Sunday. This is when the whole family had to come together, eat together. This is the day that we have to go over with what we had done during the week and to plan our next week. So the umu is really like a feasting, the spirit of coming together.
Here's the palusami. It tasted delicious. And after lunch, more fishing. Like building canoes or fales, fishing itself is something that can involve a whole village. What we're building here is a lao, and that's going to function rather like a dragnet to corral some fish. The coconut leaves, yes, coconut leaves again, act this time like a mobile underwater fence. We dragged them out as the tide was falling and made a huge circle. Apparently it's been known for hundreds of people to turn up for a lao. Once the circle's complete, everybody starts to walk slowly towards the centre, herding the fish inwards as they go. In the middle, harpoon experts wait to spear as many fish as they can. It's a very effective method of catching fish, so they only do it when they know the stocks are in surplus. It feels distinctly like a carnival. It's been nearly 100 years since the island was subjected to a natural display of fire. The local volcano, Mount Matavanu, created this moonscape and provided enough volcanic rocks to make good open ovens for centuries. But man-made fire is still at everyone's fingertips. Like the rest of the skills, it's part of their culture, and the chief in Falealupo makes sure that each child is taught the skills he'll need to live.
It's what they've been brought up with from father to son, and then son to the next generation, and so it goes on. So it's something they've always lived with. The chiefly system's very strong in the village. The untitled men listen to the chiefs, and then when they're ordered to do something, they will do it. So it's a culture that will never die in the village, because their kids will be brought up like they were, by their fathers and their forefathers.
It's really heartening to see a place where these skills are so valued and secure. The people are very much a part of the modern world, but they are proud of their history and their knowledge. They use their skills daily because they know that on this remote island, with its changing weather, they may need them at any time.
When you are in the jungle, you haven't got matches, you should have this knowledge. You are carrying your box of matches in your mind and in your muscles. These are the skills that will sustain us forever because of our tiny islands. You know, there are possibilities that there may not be any plane arriving here in 1 month. There may be no ship coming here. So we can't depend on things that are being advocated to us, but at least if we have these skills, we can still utilize our environment for us to live and to be able to survive.